This IBM ThinkPad was sent in by a viewer named Ashley because she tried to fix it, and now the screen won't turn on. She says originally it had a broken display and some sort of power issue in the USB-C. She tried a new screen and installed it, but with no luck. All cables have been reseated and new thermal paste was applied. Definitely not the perfect amount. We'll definitely have to fix that. Now, I'm not exactly a laptop expert, but let's give this a try. So here we go. Yeah, okay. It's definitely apart still. There's the LCD replacement. And it is still connected. It's kind of loose in here though, so I got to be careful of that. Okay. Leave that there, and let's get this bottom cover off. See what's going on the inside. All right, so this is the inside. The battery cable definitely, the cable connector is definitely broken. It looks like everything does plug in okay there. We need an SSD and to remove this hair. I don't know why. Hair just bugs me when it comes to stuff like this. So this is the LCD connector over here. We'll need to take a look at that. But initially, I don't see anything major going on the board. There could be some stuff that I can't see, but right now it looks okay. I think the first thing I want to do though is remove these fans in the heatsink and get a better look at the whole board. So let's do that next. Before I do that, let's see if this thing will charge. So here we got a power supply with a built-in amp meter. Let's see if it takes a charge. 20 volts, 0.1. Okay, fans start up, that's good. Oh yeah, okay. Almost 3 amps for charging, and the fans definitely start up. Okay. That's good news. So let's unplug this. Let's just see if we happen to get anything on the screen. Yeah, it's definitely blank. The screen, the power button does light up. So that's good. Okay. So we know the board does get power. It is warm even. So we know that the board at least is somewhat working. Now I'm going to remove these fans and heatsink so we can have a better look at the whole board, and then we'll get down to see if we can figure out what the problem is. We don't have anything connected here. I'm not sure what that's for. There is a fuse right here, 5901. Is that supposed to have something there? PSER1. I don't know what that is. Before I start doing this, let's disconnect this battery. See how bad a condition this connector's in. All right. And let's pry from right here. Gotta be really careful. Oh yeah, it's just, oh yeah, one of the ground pins is totally broken off. Okay. Might try and put some CA glue or epoxy on that, fix that part, but it can still plug in, so that's all fine. Now with that removed, I feel a little bit better about removing these connectors and stuff. So let's get that done now. Now I did snap a picture of this before I started, just to make sure I get all of these back in the right place. Most of the time the connectors line up right where they need to go, so it's not an issue, but I do like to have a picture just in case. Sometimes, you know, cable routing is important. It has to go a certain way sometimes, so I do try to make sure everything gets back to the right place. Let's also remove this RAM. I think I'll put new RAM in there. This is a 32 gig RAM stick. I don't know, I might just leave that one in there then. And here is the LCD connector. We'll take a look at that under a microscope. Might have a little burned connection right there. We'll check that in a little bit here. Okay, I think that's everything. And it looks like these screws are numbered. So we've got 1 over here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, let's see how bad this thermal paste looks. Ooh, that is stuck on there good. Is that? Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right, and I mean, definitely not the perfect amount of thermal paste. At least there's too much thermal paste versus not enough. That's a way better situation. Now I think we can start taking a little closer look over here, and I'm gonna get out my microscope so we can look at it really closely. Now let's take a look at this connector, or the ribbon cable and connector. Yeah, see, I'm not sure about that. That looks like, it doesn't look burned, but there's some kind of like tool marks on that. I'm not sure what that's about. That would be this part of the connector over here, which looks like maybe that's the main power connector. So we need to remove this, just like that. So, I mean, the first thing I immediately think of is that fuse F4802. The thing with this particular laptop, probably some other laptops, is that not only should you disconnect the battery connector when you replace the screen, you should also disconnect the BIOS battery. So that likely wasn't done. So what I'm thinking might have happened is when they replaced this screen, maybe this fuse blew. But that's easy enough to check. Let's get a multimeter out and check it. I really hope this is it. This would make this video, I mean, theoretically a lot easier, although sometimes when that fuse blows, other things can go too. All right, so I'm gonna check this fuse. If you hear a beep, that means the fuse is good. If you don't hear a beep, that means it is not good. So, one probe here, one probe here. You did hear a beep first, but that's because I touched my probes. There is no beep. Okay, so that tells us that this fuse is bad. Now, one thing we could do is jump this fuse, which means we'd put a wire from here to here. That would provide a path of current from here over to here, and that would provide current to the LCD itself. But since this is pretty easy to get to, I think what I want to do is actually just replace the fuse. And I don't know I have this exact fuse, but I have one that I think might work. So I'm going to replace that, and then we'll plug the LCD in and see if that'll work, and then we'll go from there. So as I was taping this off and applying my very technical method of absorbing heat using this quarter, I also noticed there is this other white component right here that looks like it could be a fuse. Let's see if that beeps when I touch it on both sides. It does not. Okay, just double check. No beep. Okay, so let's replace that one as well. Now I do have to say I don't have these exact fuses anywhere, so I will be replacing them with non-exact fuses, which could be a problem, but hopefully it won't be. Let's find out. All right, here we go, and here's to hoping we don't melt anything important. Okay, there's that one. Now I do have to stress this would be a lot easier of a process if I had a fuse that was the exact size. I might have to get one. Not sure if I will be able to make this work or not. Okay, there's that one. It looks like that's good. I need to come in and make sure this is fully connected. Okay, that also looks good. Now we'll test it and see if we have continuity there. Now, if our solder job worked and there is continuity, we will hear a beep. I'm gonna go from here right over to here. Yep, that looks good. And from here to here. Also good. Just to double check, we go from there to there. Yep, okay. So those fuses look good. I don't see any other fuses on this circuit, except for that one, which is good. So I think this is ready to get back together so we can test it. So the next thing we need to deal with is the thermal paste situation. Honestly, it's really not too bad. This thermal paste is very nice and pliable and liquid still. So I will not actually be replacing it, but we will still apply the perfect amount and then just clean up the rest. So I'm just piling it back on top of the chip. And then once we attach the heatsink and heat spreader, then it'll spread out appropriately. And this part doesn't really matter. but I will clean up some of the excess here. Now that is the perfect amount of thermal paste. And with that done, we can put the fans and heat sinks and heat pipes back on, get them torqued down, then we will connect all the connectors. After that's done, we can connect all the ribbon cables, and then it should be about ready to test after we install the RAM and an SSD. Okay, and now we have the main battery disconnected, we have the CMOS battery disconnected. Let's connect the LCD connector, then we'll put the SSD in and the RAM, then we'll reconnect the batteries. So here we go. Luckily this connector isn't melted at all from anything we did. This connector is really close to that fuse right there, so I'm glad that all went okay. Didn't cause any issues at all. Yeah, and then we need to route this properly so it doesn't get caught up when we put the case back on. Okay, let's do RAM and SSD. I am tempted to put different RAM in here just because. Which slot do we need to do here? I don't see any markings for which slot is which. D1mm2, D1mm1. So I'm assuming that means this is the one slot, and honestly, I don't even know if it matters. I think it does, but like I said, I'm not a laptop repair guy. So, okay, there's that. Now let's go with the SSD. And this one came from a different laptop. Not sure if that big, this big thermal pad is going to be helping us out here, or whether we can even have that on there. That's going to be up on the case. I guess as long as the case doesn't get caught up on it, it'll be fine. Just slip this under here. I did remove this guy, so let's put that back on. There we go. Now they did also send this bezel, so assuming this works, we do need to get this on there. And probably have to put some more adhesive on it, but let's see if we can get this thing working first, and then we'll worry about that. Okay, after we plug the batteries back in, do I install the bottom cover enough? Are we confident that that's the only problem this laptop has? I would say not confident, but at the same time, I think I'm gonna do it anyway. Just gonna trust our process here. There we go, and there we go. That connector definitely is a little sketchy. Come on. There we go. Okay. All that's installed. Let's put the bottom case piece on, and then we'll flip it over. We do need to secure that LCD, but we'll flip it over and give it a try. Okay, screws are in. Now, is there, I don't know what holds this LCD in. Is it really just that bezel that holds that LCD in? It might be. Okay, here we go. We're gonna try the power button. I don't know if the battery's charged up enough. Let's see what happens. I hear the fans. Come on! And we get nothing on the screen. Let me plug it in. We do get a charge light. The light is on. And just nothing. This LCD is connected all the way and correctly, it looks like. And we've got nothing. Well, that is such a bummer. Looks like it's staying on, although none of these lights are coming on. So I'm not convinced the board is on. Okay, we got a light there and then it goes off. So it's like sort of coming on and then immediately going back off. Okay, so I'm gonna try different RAM, try different SSD, just see if any of that happens to help. Okay, we have different RAM installed and I do have it plugged in. Let's see what it does. Oh, look at this! Totally. Oh, alrighty then. Escape to continue, F1 to enter setup. Escape, let's continue. Oh, heck yeah. Okay, well the great news is that we have this screen working. That's amazing. I'm going to see if I can get this setup figured out. I don't know that this SSD has any software installed, so I'll probably have to do that. Then we'll come back once that's done and see if we can get it fully working. All right, so we're getting Windows installed onto this computer. So after that's done, we need to install this bezel. It looks like that's the only thing that holds the screen in, which is somewhat surprising, but it is what it is. So we'll get that installed. Unfortunately, I don't have some of the pieces for the bezel. They did not come with this because the bezel is going to go down here like this. So I don't have this piece right here, unfortunately. That's a real bummer. So that is not my favorite thing, but that's all we have. So we'll get this installed here in a minute, and then we're getting close to actually being done with this laptop. All right, so I just applied some super glue to this area. I think that's gonna work okay for that. It's not ideal, but there's not a lot of great ways to fix that without just super gluing the whole thing, and then that would super glue this connector down to the one on the board, and I don't wanna do that. So I think that's gonna be fine. Let's get this cover back on, hopefully for the last time. And then we gotta get this bezel on. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. There we go. Okay, we got the screen all prepped. I need to remove the protective plastic and then just place the adhesive on the bezel, and then we're ready to go. Okay, I have all the adhesive placed on the bezel piece, and that is pretty much the strongest adhesive that I know of. So we basically have one shot at this. So let's get the screen protective plastic off. Okay, there's that. Now we're gonna make sure the screen fits down in here properly. Okay, and it does. That all looks good. Okay, here we go. Here's our one try at this. Do have to make sure there's no hair stuck in there. Okay, there we go. And you might be saying to yourself, it looks like he just took a black marker and blacked out that silver back there. Yeah, that's because that's what I did. Now let's check out this screen with that bezel installed. Ah, look at that. I definitely wish I had the piece that went there, but other than that, this looks pretty good. So it's not often that I'm actually successful when I try to repair a laptop, so this is a great result. If you want to see a video where I try to fix a whole bunch of broken gaming laptops, I'll put a link for that video up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see how many of those I can fix. Thanks so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.